In the darkness of the night, there was no sound. Not the barking of dogs, not the chirping of crickets, not the rustle of leaves falling from trees. It was as if the entire atmosphere had held its breath. Elm opened his eyes to see moisture dripping from the clay ceiling above him. Cold air was entering his shack through that crack in the wall which he himself had tried many times to fill with mud and grass. From outside, no sound came, and this was what seemed strange to him. He sat up. His cot, a wooden frame tied with ropes, creaked beneath him. His mother, who always slept by his side, was not there. Their blanket lay cold. "Mother," he whispered.
Hey, what are you building?
Answer.
A house.
He looked
See?
toward the door.
Yes,
The door,
put it here.
which was never closed, stood open today. In the darkness, only blackness spread out. Elm got up.
He is strong.
His
He will
bare
grow
feet
well.
felt
I
cold
worry,
on the earthen
grandmother.
floor.
The light will guide him.
He
Thank
went to
you.
the door and peered outside. The big house, where Mr. Moses lived, was lit up in the distance. But that light was silent. No movement. No sound. He stepped outside. The moon was at its full brightness, but its light seemed strange, as if not white but dipped in silver. Elm noticed that the doors of the other shacks were also open. They stood empty-mouthed in the darkness. He stood outside his mother's shack and kept thinking, where has everyone gone? Then he remembered. The dream. The dream he had seen that night. In that dream, his mother was calling him, but her voice came from far away, as if from a deep well. And behind her was light, very bright light. Elm took a step forward. He began walking toward the big house. His footprints marked the soil. In the moonlight, his shadow was long. When he neared the big house, he saw that lamps were burning inside, but no person was visible. A chair sat empty on the veranda. The door was open.
Hey, what are you
He tried
building?
to call out,
A
but his
house.
voice stuck
See?
in his throat.
Yes,
He
put
went
it here.
inside. In the large room, food lay on the table, half-eaten. Pieces of bread, bowls of soup.
He is strong.
One
He will
bowl
grow
had
well.
fallen
I
to the
worry,
floor.
grandmother. The light will guide
then
him.
he saw
Thank you.
On the wall. There, in the lamplight, something was written on the wall. But it was not ordinary writing. It had been written with a piece of burnt wood, as if someone had touched the wall with burning wood. The writing read something like this: "We will return." And beneath it, a mark. A mark that Elm recognized. That mark was on his mother's hand. That mark was deep in her skin, like an old scar. Elm's breath stopped. He went to the wall and touched that mark. It was warm. Then he heard a sound from behind him. Very faint, very far away. As if someone was calling his name. Elm. He turned. Outside, at the end of the garden, where the old oak trees stood, there was light. Not moonlight, not lamplight. Rather, a soft, golden light filtering through the trees. And in that light, he could see shadows. Many shadows, walking. Their feet were not touching the ground. Elm took one step forward. Then another. He began moving toward that light. And behind him, the big house was silent. The entire plantation was silent. The whole family was gone. But Elm did not know that he himself was about to disappear. 15 years earlier, in the spring of 1853, Elm had come into this world on the same plantation from which he was now emerging into the darkness of night. In this valley of Alabama, where the waters of the Tennessee River irrigated the land, Mr. Moses' plantation spread out. Cotton fields, tobacco plants, and long rows of corn. This land, once belonging to the Creek tribe, now belonged to white men. And the black bodies working on this land, they too were property. Elm's mother, Helen, had come from Queensland. She was still a child when she was captured, when she was playing by the riverbank. She remembered her mother screaming, "Run," but she could not run. Now she was here, in Alabama, and her son was about to be born. The night of Elm's birth was the first month of summer. Helen was not alone in the shack. Old Mabel, the oldest enslaved woman on the plantation, sat beside her. No one knew Mabel's age, but she remembered Africa, and she was among the few who could still speak some words of her original language. "Push, daughter," Mabel said. Her voice was heavy with tobacco smoke and years of labor.
Hey,
Coming
what
into
are you
this
building?
world is not easy.
House. See?
Living here is even
Yes,
harder.
put it here.
Helen screamed. Outside, in the fields, other enslaved people were working. Their voices came
He is
from
strong.
afar,
He will
singing
grow well.
songs.
I worry, grandmother.
Those
The light
songs
will
that
guide
lessened
him.
the pain,
Thank you.
that maintained the rhythm of labor. When the baby's first cry was heard, Helen held him to her chest. Mabel brought the clay lamp closer and looked at the child's face. This child is special, Mabel said. Look at his eyes. They are not seeing this world, but some other world. Helen took the child in her lap and kissed his forehead. She did not know if she was right, but she named her son, Elm. It was her mother's name, who was still in Queensland, or perhaps dead. Helen did not know. Elm's birth was recorded in Mr. Moses' diary. Today a boy was born to Helen. Named Elm. Value, $300 estimated. This was the only written record proving Elm's existence. Everything else was in his mother's memory. Elm began to grow. In his first year, he went with his mother to the fields. She would tie him on her back while she picked cotton. The cotton plants were small, but they had thorns that wounded Helen's wrists. Elm's tiny hands would touch those thorns, and he would wonder how these white flowers could
Hey,
be so
what are you
soft when
building?
their bushes were so
A
hard.
house. See?
When he turned 2,
Yes, put
he
it
began
here.
playing with other children. There were 5 children on the plantation. The oldest was Jonah, who was 8,
He
and
is
the youngest
strong.
was
He
Pinky,
will grow
who
well.
was just
I
learning
worry,
to walk.
grandmother. The light will guide
They
him.
would all play
Thank you.
behind the shacks, making mud houses and carving wooden dolls that their mothers would whittle for them. But their play was never complete. Always some adult would come and say, "Go to work." And the children would scatter. When Elm was 4, he began to observe. He watched how the sun rose, how birds flew, how the river water flowed. He watched how the sound of Mr. Moses' horse's hoofs could be heard from afar, and how all the enslaved people fell silent when he approached. He saw the whip marks on his mother's back. Old marks that had turned white, and new marks that were still red. He noticed she never spoke about these marks. He noticed that at night, when the moon rose, some enslaved people would talk in secret. They spoke very softly, and they used the word, freedom. Elm did not know what that word meant, but when those people said it, their eyes would sparkle. One night, when Elm was 5, he asked his mother, "Mother, what is freedom?" Helen pulled him close and put her hand over his mouth. "Hush, son. Never speak that word." But Elm saw that his mother's eyes had tears. And he understood that this word was something special, something they did not have. Moses Thompson was the owner of this plantation. He was 45 years old, tall, thin, and his beard was always trimmed. He went to church on Sundays, read the Bible, and would gather his enslaved people and read to them that God had said slaves should remain obedient to their masters. But he was not cruel, at least not outwardly. He never beat anyone himself. He never shouted. He always spoke in a soft tone, but his eyes never smiled. When an enslaved person fell ill, he would call a doctor. When someone died, he would permit them to be buried. He permitted marriages, permitted children to be named. But he never let families stay together. One day, when Elm was 6, Mr. Moses came near the shacks. He was on horseback, and behind him were 2 men. "Helen," he called in a soft tone. "I have news for you." Helen came out. She held Elm's hand. "Your husband, George, will no longer stay here," Mr. Moses said. "I have to send him to Mississippi. There is a large plantation there, and he is needed." Helen's breath stopped. "But Mr. Moses, he is my husband. He is this child's father." "I know," Mr. Moses said,
Hey, what
sympathy
are you
in his
building?
voice.
A house.
"But it is
See?
necessary.
Yes,
You
put
understand,
it here.
don't you?" Helen nodded. She knew there was no use in refusing. George was taken away
He is
that
strong.
night.
He will grow well.
He
I worry,
embraced Helen
grandmother.
and
The
lifted
light
Elm
will
up.
guide him. Thank you.
"Grow up and take care of your mother," he said. Then he left. That night, Elm saw his mother cry. It was the first time he had seen her weep. And he understood what Mr. Moses' soft voice really meant. It was a voice that could break families, without shouting or screaming. Old Mabel was like a grandmother to Elm. She told stories to all the children, but to Elm most of all. Perhaps because she saw that Elm was different from others. He remained silent, he watched, he listened. One night, when the winter wind was blowing and fires were burning in the shacks, Mabel called Elm. She was sitting in her shack, near the fire, and in her hand was a small pouch. "Come, son," she said. "Today I will tell you a story that I heard from my mother, and she from hers." Elm sat beside her. Mabel opened the pouch and took out some things, bird feathers, a small shell, and a stone with strange markings. "These things came from Africa," Mabel said. "This land, where we live, is not ours. But there is a land that is ours.
Hey, what are you building?
There, rivers flow,
See?
water is clear, and
Yes,
men and
put it
women are
here.
free. How do we go there?" Elm asked. Mabel looked at him and smiled.
He is
She had no
strong.
teeth,
He will grow
but her
well.
smile
I
was
worry,
warm.
grandmother. The light will guide
Some
him.
say after
Thank you.
death. Some say by running away. But I tell you a secret. She leaned in and whispered in his ear, "Some people return. They do not die, they disappear. And then they become trees, or birds, or wind. They become free, but they remain here." Elm looked at her with wide eyes. "Can I also disappear?" Mabel placed her hand on his head. "Perhaps, son. Perhaps. But first you must live." At the age of 7, Elm was put to work. He was no longer a child. Now he was enslaved, and he did the work of the enslaved. Morning, before sunrise, a bell would ring. That bell was hung outside the big house, and its sound could be heard throughout the plantation. Elm would wake to that sound, with his mother, and they would head to the fields. Cotton fields. Long, long rows, stretching into the distance. When the sun rose, the heat would begin, and by afternoon, the heat would be such that breathing became difficult. Elm was taught to pick cotton. He was taught how to move his hands quickly, how to pluck only the ripe cotton, how to avoid the thorns. His fingers became wounded. His back began to ache. But he kept working. The overseer, Mr. Graham, would ride around on horseback. He was fat, and his face was always red. He carried a whip, and he used it. "Hurry up," he would shout. "You people are getting lazy. Pick more cotton." One day, passing by Elm, he noticed that Elm's basket had less cotton than others. "You, boy," he said. "Come here." Elm went to him. Mr. Graham dismounted and looked at Elm's basket. "You are lazy," he said. And then he raised his whip and struck Elm. Elm fell. There was a burning sensation on his back. He did not scream. He just looked at the ground and remained silent. Mr. Graham struck again. And again. "Now go to work," he said, and mounted his horse and rode away. Elm got up. His mother was watching from afar, but she could do nothing. She could only watch. That night, when they returned to the shack, Helen applied ointment to his back. It was made from grass and fat. Elm gritted his teeth but did not cry. "You remain very silent," Helen said.
Hey, what are you
"When
building?
he was beating you,
house,
you made
see?
no sound."
Yes,
"I cannot
put it
cry,"
here.
Elm said. "If I cry, he will think I am weak." Helen looked at him. There were no
He is
tears
strong.
in her
He will
son's
grow
eyes.
well. I worry,
Only
grandmother.
a
The
deep
light will
silence.
guide him. Thank you.
She knew this silence would become her son's strength. But she also knew this silence would set him apart from others. Elm's silence became known. He spoke little. When other children played, he watched. When adults talked, he listened. When Mr. Graham shouted, he would lower his eyes, but his ears remained open. He watched how Mr. Moses talked to his friends, how they spoke about enslaved people as if they were animals. He heard how they quoted prices: "This woman is worth $500, that boy $300. He watched how some enslaved people tried to run away, and how they were caught. And how they were punished. Once, a man named Sam was caught trying to escape. He was brought back and whipped in front of all the enslaved people. Sam kept screaming, but no one helped. That night, Sam's voice stopped. He died. Elm saw all this and said nothing. But inside him, a world was inhabited. He dreamed. Dreams in which he flew, like birds.
Hey,
Dreams
what
in
are you
which he
building?
crossed the river and
A
reached the
house,
other
see?
side where there were no
High-five.
enslaved
Yes,
people.
put it here.
One night, he said to his mother, "Mother, I dreamed I was free." Helen pulled him to her chest.
He is strong. He
trembling.
will grow well. I worry,
Do not dream
grandmother. The
these
light will
dreams,
guide him.
son.
Thank you.
They are dangerous. But Elm kept dreaming. And in his silence, these dreams kept growing. In 1861, news came that war had begun between the North and the South. Talk started on the plantation. Some said that if the South lost, the enslaved would become free. Some said this was impossible. Mr. Moses became worried. He spent more time in the big house, looking at maps, writing letters. His wife, Mrs. Elizabeth, began going to church more often. Hope spread among the enslaved people. They would talk in secret, listen to news. If someone knew how to read newspapers, they would read in secret and tell others. Elm was now 9 years old. He understood what the war meant. He asked his mother, "If the North wins, will we become free?" Helen said, "Perhaps, son. Perhaps." But she did not believe it. She had seen too many promises broken. During the war, difficult days came to the plantation. Food became scarce. Cotton prices fell. Mr. Moses sold some enslaved people. Among them was Pinky's mother. Pinky, now 7 years old, cried for many nights. Elm would sit with her, silent. He would say nothing, but his presence gave Pinky comfort. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln declared that the enslaved were free. But this was only for states not under Northern control. In Alabama, nothing changed. Mr. Moses gathered the enslaved people and said, "You may have heard that the president has freed you. But this does not apply here. You are still mine. And you will work my land, as you did before." Elm watched him. Mr. Moses' voice no longer had its former softness. Now there was harshness in his voice, fear. He knew his world was changing, and he wanted to stop it. In the winter of 1864, Mabel fell ill. She was old, very old. Her cough grew worse day by day. Helen would sit with her, give her water, wipe her forehead. But Mabel grew weaker. One night, Mabel called Elm. Her voice was barely audible. "Elm, come to me." Elm went to her. Mabel took out that pouch of hers, the one with the feathers and shell and stone. "Take this," she said. "This is for you." Elm took the pouch.
Hey, what are you building?
It was light,
A
but it had
house,
weight.
see? High five.
"Mabel, you
Yes,
will get
put it
well,"
here.
he said. Mabel shook her head. "No, son, I am going now. But I will return."
He is strong. He will grow
Remember,
well.
I
I
told
worry,
you that some
grandmother. The
people
light will
disappear
guide
and
him.
return.
Thank you.
"I will also come." "How?" Elm asked. "As wind," Mabel said. "As bird. As tree. When you remember me, I will be there." The next morning, Mabel was dead. She was buried under the old oak tree, where other enslaved people were buried. There was no stone, no marker. Only a mound of earth. Elm kept her pouch with him. He would hide it under his blanket, where no one could see. And he would remember Mabel. When the wind blew, he would think, "Perhaps it is Mabel." When a bird flew, he would think, "Perhaps it is Mabel." In 1865, the war ended. The South had lost. News spread that the enslaved were free. Truly free. On paper, in law. On the plantation, some enslaved people left. They packed their bundles and set out, to go somewhere else, to start new lives. But many stayed. Where would they go? What would they do? The outside
Hey,
world
what are you
was foreign
building?
to them.
A house,
Mr.
see?
Moses said
High
to them,
five.
"You are
Yes,
free,
put it here.
but you can stay with me. I will give you a little land, you will work for me, and I will give you a small share of the crop."
He is strong. He will
This
grow
was the
well.
new
I worry,
system,
grandmother. The
sharecropping.
light will guide him.
Not
Thank you.
enslaved, but not free either. Exactly as before, just the name changed. Helen asked Elm, "What to do, son?" Elm was now 12. He had grown tall, thin, but his eyes held the same silence. "We will stay here," he said. "For now." But in his mind, something else was there. He had not forgotten Mabel's stories. He had not forgotten his dreams. The years 1866 and 1867 passed. The plantation changed. Some new people came, some old ones left. Mr. Moses had grown old. His hair had turned white, his back had bent. Mrs. Elizabeth had died. Now he often lived alone. Elm and his mother lived in the same shack. They still worked in the fields, but now they received a little wages. Very little. Barely enough to get by. One day, Mr. Moses called Elm. He was sitting on the veranda of the big house, on a wooden chair. "Elm, you have grown up," he said. "You seem intelligent. I want you to do some work for me. Office work. Help me with accounts." Elm was surprised. Enslaved people never did office work. But they were no longer enslaved. Perhaps this was a new era. "Yes, Mr. Moses," he said. Now he would go to the big house, sit in the office, look at papers. He had learned to read and write, secretly, from others. Mr. Moses did not know. When he looked at the accounts, he realized how much land Mr. Moses had, how many debts, how much profit. And he discovered that Mr. Moses was in trouble. After the war, everything had changed. Cotton prices had fallen, debts had increased. One day, he saw a letter. It had come from some bank. It said that if the debt was not paid, the plantation would be seized. Elm told this to his mother. Helen said, "So what happens?" "Don't know," Elm said. "But something is going to happen." When spring came, commotion arose on the plantation. New people began arriving. Some white, some black. Some office people, some laborious. Mr. Moses remained worried. He would write letters many times a day, ride off on horseback many times. One night,
Hey, what are
Elm
you
noticed
building?
some former
A
enslaved
house,
people
see?
meeting in secret.
High five. Yes, put
They
it
gathered
here.
under the old oak tree. Elm also went secretly. There was Jonah, now grown young.
He
Pinky
is
was
strong.
there,
He
now
will grow
12
well.
years
I
old.
worry, Grandmother. The light will
some
guide
others.
him. Thank you.
"We must do something," Jonah was saying. "Moses is deceiving us. He tells us we are free, but we are still his slaves. He gives us just enough to barely survive, and keeps everything else." "What can we do?" someone asked. "We can run," Jonah said. "Toward the north. There is freedom there." But Pinky said, "Running is dangerous. If caught, we will be killed." Elm listened silently. Mabel's words echoed in his mind, "Some people disappear." He stepped forward. "Listen," he said. Everyone looked at him. He spoke little, so whenever he spoke, everyone listened. "There is a way to disappear," he said. "But we must work together." Elm revealed his plan. They all listened, astonished. Then silence fell. "This is madness," Jonah said. "Perhaps," Elm said. "But it could work." He told them everything he had seen in the office. Mr. Moses' debts, the bank's
Hey, what are
threats,
you
the
building?
risk of land
A
seizure.
house, see?
He is
High
weak,
five.
Elm
Yes,
said.
put it here.
He is afraid. And a frightened man makes mistakes. Then he showed the mark that was in Mabel's pouch.
He is strong. He will grow well.
stone with
I worry,
strange
Grandmother.
markings.
The light will guide him.
Mabel
Thank
used
you.
to say this mark came from Africa. It is the mark of those who disappeared and returned. But how will we disappear? Pinky asked. Elm smiled and said, "We will not disappear. We will just not be seen." Over the next several weeks, preparations began in secret. Food was gathered in small pouches that could be hidden in clothing. Water skins, blankets, tools. Elm stole some papers from the office. Papers containing maps of routes, names of nearby towns, directions to the north. At night, the people would meet under the old oak tree and make plans. Who would go when, by which route, where to meet. But none of them knew they were being watched. One night, as Elm was returning, he saw a lamp burning in the big house window. And behind the window, Mr. Moses stood, looking outside. Had he seen? Elm was not sure. But that night, he could not sleep. Preparations were nearly complete when one morning, Mr. Graham came to the shacks. With him were 4 men, all white, all armed. "Everyone come out," he shouted. Everyone came out. Mr. Graham made them stand in a line. "We have found out," he said. "You people were planning to run." Elm's heart pounded. He looked at Jonah. Jonah's face was like stone. Mr. Graham pointed at Jonah. "Grab him." The men seized Jonah. They dragged him to the front of the big house. Elm wanted to step forward, but his mother caught his hand. "Don't go," she whispered. "They will kill you too." That day, Jonah was whipped in front of all the people. Then he was sold to some distant plantation. Elm watched and remained silent. But inside him was fire. After Jonah's departure, the atmosphere changed. There was fear, but also determination. Some people lost courage. They abandoned the plan and went back to their work. But some remained. Pinky and her parents. 2 other families. And Elm. "Now what?" Pinky asked. Elm said, "We will wait. For the right time." But when would the right time come? Summer arrived. Work began in the cotton fields. Days were long, heat was intense. Elm kept working in
Hey,
the
what are you
office.
building?
He noticed Mr.
See?
Moses growing weaker day by
Yes,
day.
put it here.
He drank more, slept less. One day, he said to Elm, "Elm, you have remained loyal.
He is strong. He will
When
grow
all
well.
this is over,
I worry,
I will
grandmother.
give you
The
some
light will
land.
guide him. Thank you.
You can build your own home." Elm lowered his head. "Thank you, Mr. Moses." But in his mind, only one thought existed. The land he would give was the same land our ancestors worked for him. June the 18th, 1868. It was night time. The moon was at its full brightness. Elm lay in the shack, but he was not sleeping. He felt that something was going to happen today. Around midnight, he heard a sound outside. He got up and looked out. In the moonlight, he could see shadows. Many shadows, moving toward the big house. He recognized them, Pinky, her parents, and others. He came out and followed them. Approaching the big house, he saw the door was open. Lamps were burning inside. Pinky looked at him and put her finger to her lips. They went inside. Mr. Moses was sitting in the room, head on the table, asleep. Beside him was a bottle of liquor. Pinky's father took out a knife. "No," Elm whispered. "We are
Hey,
not
what are you
killers."
building?
Then how?
See? High five.
Pinky's father
Yes,
asked.
put it here.
Elm picked up paper and pen. He began to write. With a piece of burnt wood.
He
"We
is
will
strong.
return."
He will grow well.
And
I worry,
beneath it,
grandmother.
he
The
made
light will
Mabel's
guide him.
mark.
Thank you.
Then they all left from there. They went into the forest. Then into the hills. Then to the riverbank. Elm guided them. He knew the paths, from maps, from dreams, from Mabel's stories. They kept walking. All night. When the sun rose, they were far away. Behind them, on the plantation, when people woke in the morning, they saw that some shacks were empty. Some people were gone. And in the big house, that writing was on the wall. Someone woke Mr. Moses. He came, saw the writing, and his face turned white. "What is this?" he asked. No one knew. Police were called. Investigations were made. But no trace was found. The missing people were never found. And Mr. Moses? A few months later, the bank seized the plantation. He became poor, alone, and then he died. Many years passed. In 1888, in a small town in Alabama, an old woman was dying. Her name was Pinky. Beside her sat her son, and her granddaughter. "Mother, you never told me your story," her son said. "Where did you come from?" Pinky smiled and said, "We came from where no one comes. And we went where no one goes." Her granddaughter asked, Grandmother, what is that mark you wear on your necklace? Pinky took out the stone from her neck, the one with strange markings. This mark, she said, was given to me by a boy. Many years ago. His name was Elm. He disappeared, but he remained with us always. Where is he? Pinky closed her eyes. He is in the wind, child. In birds, in trees. He returned, as he promised. Today, that plantation no longer exists. Where cotton fields once were, corn now grows. Where shacks once stood, a new house now stands. The old oak tree is still there. Very large, very old. Sometimes, children play under that tree. They do not know how many people are buried beneath that tree, how many disappeared, how many returned. And at night, when the wind blows, the tree's branches move. And if someone listens closely, they might hear a voice. Very faint, very far away. Someone calling a name. Perhaps Elm. Perhaps
Hey,
Mabel.
what are you building?
Perhaps
A
all
house,
those who
see?
disappeared,
High
but
five.
never left.
Yes, put it here.
Because some people do not die. They just disappear. And then they return as wind, as bird, as tree.
He is strong. He will
And
grow
they
well.
remind us
I
that this
worry,
land,
grandmother.
on
The
which we
light will
walk,
guide him.
was once
Thank
theirs.
you.
Of those people whose names are recorded nowhere, whose stories were never written. But the wind remembers them. And when the night is silent, the moon has risen, and the branches of the old oak tree are moving, those people return. To touch their earth. To breathe their air. And to watch the children playing on their land, unknowingly, calling to their spirit. This story is of those who disappeared. Their names are not found in history books. There are no stones on their graves. Their descendants do not know where they came from. But they existed. They lived, they loved, they suffered, they dreamed. And one night, they left. Where? Perhaps toward the north, perhaps they died, perhaps they truly disappeared. But perhaps, as Mabel used to say, they returned. As wind. As bird. As tree. And when you read this story, remember. This is not just one story. It is a fragment of thousands of stories. Of the millions of people who came to this land, worked,
Hey,
suffered,
what are you
and
building?
then disappeared.
A house, see?
But they never
High
left.
five. Yes, put
They
it
are
here.
still here. In the wind. In the earth. In the old trees. And when the night is
He
silent
is
and the
strong.
moon
He
has
will
risen,
grow well.
you can
I
hear
worry,
their voices.
grandmother. The light will guide him.
Very faint.
Thank you.
Very far away. We will return. And they did.